Suit up, strap in, warm the tires, and leave on yellow. Time for the MitsuTimes podcast, presented by MitsuTimes.org, the home of the fastest Mitsubishi cars. With your host, Josh.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the MitsuTimes podcast. My guest today is the owner and driver of the Peasant Evo, Mr. Kidanny Reyes. How are you today, sir?
I am doing pretty well. How you doing, brother?
I'm great. I want to talk about your Peasant Evo because it's certainly unique, one of a kind, and you've been, I don't know, it seems like 2024 has just been your year for PBs and having some fun in the car, looks like.
It is. I've been still learning the car, so I've had this issue where I change my mind quite frequently, so I change the setups on the car, so I never get to quite really learn the car as one should. So it's always been sort of a struggle, if you will. But I finally found a setup I actually quite enjoy. So now it's just a matter of getting seat time with it and just chopping away at the time little by little.
Okay. Well, let's go through the setup on the Peasant Evo.
Well, it has a RT built 2.2 liter, well, technically 215. Cali's billet crank, R&R aluminum rods, RT spec custom pistons. Nothing too crazy. GSC cams, GSC intake exhaust valves. It has really nice CPC carbon fiber 8 injector intake manifold. I honestly only got it because it's got like a purple anodized accents. Purple is my favorite color, if you couldn't tell. It's got 8 2600cc injectors, ID 2600s, air motive mechanical fuel pump, and then of course the nice part of the entire setup, Morrison Fab forward facing turbo kit and the Zona rotor, the new XRE 7169. That's pretty much it for engine and power, if you will, and then it's just got an RT built PPG dog box, and it is on a Link G4X standalone or plug and play, if you will.
You got the best of the best, sounds like.
I try. I've learned from my mistakes. The mistakes have been very costly. I've learned some things you just can't skimp out on. And it's gotten me to where I am today, thankfully.
All right. So some hard lessons, but you learn from them.
Yes, definitely have learned from them.
Good deal. Well, what is it that drew you to the Evo platform in the first place?
So, to be completely honest, it was my good friend John. So back when I met John, probably 8 years ago now, I was a little kid, of course. I'm not too old, thankfully, but I met him 8 years ago, and we had Subarus together, and we both had WRXs, and he was always trying to go fast in his WRX, and I tried to chase right after him. He took me for a ride, and I was like, I need this. I kind of like it. So I started putting parts on the Subaru, and then he eventually sold the Subaru and bought an Evo, and I seen him gain, power like it was nothing on that thing, stock block. I think he was making probably around 500s after you had set up, and the thing was quick. It was fast. It was quick. It was a lot more fun than driving a Subaru. So I ended up blowing up the Subaru, and I fixed it. I sold it, and I told myself, I'm going to save up and buy an Evo. So I did the classic, I'm going to put it together myself. I ended up buying a shell, a roller, and I started piecing everything together to put it myself. And of course, that took longer than expected. But John was the reason why I actually got an Evo. He made me realize Subarus are just not the vehicle to go fast in.
Oh, man. And you work at a Subaru shop, so that must be your advice to a lot of people, huh?
No, so thankfully, most of the clients we have, they don't really aim for what John and I have going on.
Yeah.
We have our shop car that we take out, and it's quick and fast. The owner Mike is the driver, and he does very well. But it's just not the same. It takes a lot more in a Subaru to go fast or quick versus what it does in an Evo. And then on top of that, the Evo is just more aesthetically pleasing. Like you can put more parts on it, and the parts you can visually see, whereas like the Subaru you can't. The Evo's got like the manifold up top; it's right there in your face. You can have a nice manifold. You can see the turbo on the front. Subarus you can't really. Manifolds on the bottom. All you can pretty much do for looks is like an intake manifold or intercooler piping, powder coated and whatnot. So it's not the same.
Gotcha. That must be a little bit weird, huh? Coming from the Subaru world and then, making your way to basically the Subaru's rival, right? You've had a little bit of both worlds.
I have. It is definitely different, and that's definitely where the learning curve came in when I first got the Evo. But I enjoy both. I personally still have some Subarus. I just dedicate, the Evo for racing, if you will, and then the Subarus I have are just for street driving or winter driving, fun here and there, but nothing too crazy.
Okay. So you talked about this car being far from race ready when you picked it up. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it was like when you first picked it up?
So funny thing is, like I said before, I initially bought a shell, and I was piecing things together, and it was a very long progress, especially since I had no clue on anything, and I was just gunning for it, if you will. Dealer about 3 hours south of me posted my car for sale, or he didn't post it for sale. He posted just to get like opinions on the color because that was back when Nardo Gray was becoming popular and everyone was painting or wrapping the cars Nardo Gray. And he posted it on one of the Evo pages, and I messaged him and I was like, you interested in selling the car? And he said, I am. I actually have a ton of people interested. And I told him, I'll come next day. Like I'll come, truck and trailer. I'll pick the car up tomorrow. And he was like, if you can come tomorrow, I will tell everyone it's sold and the car is yours. So I next day drove 3 hours south, and I ended up buying the car before I even test drove it. So it was a very last minute impulse buy. Definitely not the smartest. Like I said, I bought the car before I even drove it. We got everything done, and I walked outside, and I was like, "Oh, I should probably drive the car to even make sure I like it." But I ended up getting rid of the shell and all the parts I had after I got the car, and I loaded the car up and drove 3 hours back home.
Wow. So
and then I put it on the lift, and the thing was a hot mess. I was missing engine mounts were missing nuts. I was told trans TK stiff had just gotten serviced. I checked everything. Everything was not serviced. It was very dark, very dirty. So I went through the entire car and just did regular maintenance at that point.
Man, heartbreaking.
Well, it is heartbreaking, but I did get what I wanted. So
yeah,
it happens to the best of us.
That's fair. That's very fair.
I was just very, very, very excited in the moment.
So what was your original plans with the car?
The original plans, I honestly didn't really have any. I wanted to get the car, and I wanted to make it somewhat quick and just enjoy it,
Yeah. Okay.
Just pretty much stock block setup, make 500, call it a day, drive it, have fun with it, and then it just escalated from there.
Okay. Well, through the years, since you picked this car up, you've probably had multiple setups on it. Are there any that stand out that you really liked in case someone out there's, thinking about switching setups?
So I've had 5 major setups, but a bunch of revisions in between. So the car when I first got it actually came with an FP Green. And it was fun, but it wasn't fast enough. And then after that, I got a stock location 35R. And after that, I got a 6466. And I think after that, I got the Zona 9569. And then this year, I got the 7169. So I've had pretty much every like level in between you can think of. It made 560 when I had the 35R on SDM's Mustang dyno. Made 560, 440, and that still stock block. I would say that was probably the funnest setup I'd had with the car.
Okay.
I drove it all the time. I beat the living crap out of it. I launched it pretty much every day. I drove it to Maryland and back without a single issue. Nothing but it was fun enough to drive, go out and have fun racing people. And then I could drive it to work the next day and drive to get ice cream on Sunday. It was the perfect setup.
That's awesome. What would you say was probably your favorite setup?
I would say the 35R is like the perfect setup for like street driving, everyday use. But the way the car sits now, I love the way it is now. It's just it's hard taming the beast, if you will.
Yeah. I got you. Okay. Well, I want you to think back to when you broke into the 10s for the first time. What was the setup on the car then?
So the setup that broke into the 10s, if I'm not mistaken, I honestly should have did it when I had the 35R stock block, but I've honestly never been a good driver. But the setup that broke into the 10s was built engine. It was a steel rod 2.0 and with a 6466.
Okay.
I think it made like mid 700s. And it got like, if I remember correctly, like a 10.7 or 10.6, something like that.
Wow.
First pass off the trailer.
Wow. Going straight into the mid 10s. That's cool.
Yeah, usually my good pass is like first pass off the trailer, like anytime I go out. After that, I get shaken up a little bit clammy, if you will.
Nerves start taking over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha. Well, what was the setup when you broke into the 9s for the first time?
The setup that broke into the 9s was when I got the Zona 9569. I don't know what the car was making at that point. We had some issues on the dyno when we were tuning it. So we stopped it, I think, around 800. I was having fuel pressure issues. So we stopped around 800. I think it was like 850, something like that. And I trailered the car back home because I take it to Rafe to get tuned in Connecticut. So he's about 6.5 hours away from me. Loaded it back up, got home, and I replaced everything in the fuel system. I told myself, fuel is definitely not something you want to mess around with. It can definitely destroy a lot of things. So I ended up getting new pumps, new regulator. I redid all the line from tank to rail, and put a new hob switch on. And that fixed whatever the issue was. I don't know. Like I said, I replaced everything. But after that, I sent him a log, and he sent me a file in return, and we upped the boost like another 10 or 15 pounds. So I never truly know what the car made, but the 9569 got me into the 9s. I went first pass off the trailer, 9.8 at 165.
Wow. That is cooking.
It was definitely different than what it was the season before.
Yeah. Felt it come alive.
Oh yeah. It was even, it had issues out of the hole. It had a bunch of traction issues. And it still went 9.8 at 165. It was insane.
Yeah, I know the 9569 was, still is super popular. So
it is an amazing turbo, that's for sure.
People out there looking to run 9s, there you go.
Yeah, no, I think that was the first time. After that, I went consistent 9.6s. I think the fastest trapped was 167.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it is honestly. If I could drive the car, I also the issue with traction is I had a stock transfer case up until the shootout this year where I blew the transfer case at the shootout. But yeah, it was still open diff transfer case, so I had one wheel spinning faster than the other. So I'm sure I could have definitely gotten better time, but it is what it is. It was one of those things. If it didn't break, there's no point in replacing it.
Right.
But, not the smartest thing at the time.
Yeah, because you don't want it to take something else out, huh?
Exactly.
This episode of the MitsuTimes podcast is brought to you by Action Clutch. You'll find Action Clutches in vehicles of all power levels, from stock cars to grassroots racers, all the way up to 1,000 plus horsepower drag cars. They offer 8 different stages, from Kevlar copper organic all the way to triple and double clutch kits. All Action Clutches have been handmade in LA by hand for the last 60 years. Check out all their products they have to offer at actionclutch.com.
Well, knowing what you know now and thinking back to when you picked this car up and brought it home, would you still do this build exactly the same way?
I would. I think I got it, not easy, but in a good manner where every setup was like a step up. So I basically took it in increments, and I learned a bunch of stuff on the way. I met a bunch of people, learned a lot. So I can't really complain. Like I said, it was an expensive journey, but I learned a lot along the way. The only thing I would do sooner, I would say, is the transfer case.
Yeah.
Because once I did get that fixed, it made a pretty big difference. After I got it in late this season,
it was kind of worth the price of admission.
It definitely was, and it was definitely my negligence from the beginning. But I never thought it was needed, and it definitely is. That's for sure.
All right. So you talked about a lot of expensive brakes and, kind of going through each setup that you had and tweaking it a little bit. So what is it about this car that keeps motivating you to pour more money into it, to, get back out there to the track and risk breaking it again?
Well, I truly believe in just making myself better with the car. So I just keep doing it because first things first, it is the thing I love doing. So, you got to do what you love. But the big thing is bettering myself and educating myself along the way. Like I said, even though it is expensive, I do learn things, even though it's the expensive way. On top of that, it's, the relationships I form with people and, other racers and in the community and stuff like that. But overall, I just like having fun with it. I see the car as an expression of myself. Basically, everything I do is because, I like it my way. So I do it for myself, if you will.
That's understandable. Well, speaking of, kind of personalization, what's the name behind the Peasant Evo?
So it's very funny. So when I first got the car, like I said, I got it at a decently young age. So I had a friend. I still have him to this day. He's just, we're not as close as we used to be, but his name's Justin, and he used to always use the word peasant. And one day when I got the Evo, he started just calling me peasant all the time. Just because that young buying an Evo or whatever. So he wasn't making fun of me, but he was just saying it in a funny manner.
Right.
So when I first got the car, he just kept calling me, peasant. So in New York to get the custom plate, and I looked it up and it was available, and I was like, it'd be pretty funny if, we just call it the Peasant Evo, since he just keeps calling me that. So I got the plate, and it's just stuck ever since.
Beautiful.
It's just funny that we call it the Peasant Evo, but it's got a bunch of expensive parts on it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's not one of those built on a budget kind of things, it sounds like.
I definitely try not to, but again, it's probably the only thing I do. So, uh, yeah, everything I've got goes towards it. So,
Gotcha. Well, you got to be pretty excited for 2025. I know you seem like you were picking up steam there right at the end of 2024. So, what are your goals going forward into 2025?
so my big goal is to, like I said before, I want to actually drive the car and learn the car. Um, the setup I got towards beginning, maybe middle of last season. So I've had maybe a total of 4 passes on the car with the new setup. Um, and I do think it's a phenomenal setup. I do love how everything is, how it performs. Um, so I really want to learn the car and drive as best as I can. And the big thing is finally get that 8 second pass that I've been trying to get for a while now.
Oh, you're inching closer.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Well, if it was easy, nobody would do it, I guess.
This is true. Hopefully, with the new transfer case, I think I'm hoping first pass off the trailer next season.
Ooh.
We'll get that 8 second pass.
I'm looking forward to that.
You and me both.
All right. So, is there a long-term goal or a number that you have in mind that that's going to be it for you?
I wouldn't say so. I'm content with the car as it is. I don't think I would like to go any further, just because it gets very costly very fast, especially trying to make more power and go faster.
Right.
The big thing is just trying to get that 60 foot down. I ultimately would like to get consistent, mid to high 8 second passes without an issue. I'd say that's my long term goal, if you will, just a consistent 8 second car.
Okay. Well, you've been around a bunch of different setups and multiple. Well, this car has been through a lot of phases in its life, right? A lot of chapters.
It definitely has been.
So if someone out there, they're listening, they just bought an Evo and they want to start doing a build to get to where you are on the list, what advice would you give them for their build?
First and foremost, I would tell them to build the car for themselves. It's not anyone else's car, so it's your money. You have it how you want. But I would say the most fun, I would stay in the 5 to 700 horsepower range. Just because I wouldn't say reliable, but reliable. And it's still fun. There's definitely a lot of cars out there that you can beat in that horsepower area. You can still make a 10 second car making 700 horsepower. I guess it depends on how far they want to go with it. I would say find some good people that support you, a tuner that's willing to help and give you knowledge, and that's pretty much it. Just enjoy it.
Yeah. Don't go too crazy too fast, and then you won't get to drive it every day, and you'll start to lose your passion for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Makes sense. Well, has there been any other Mitsubishis in your life besides this one that you want to talk about?
Technically, like I said before this one, I had that shell.
Yeah.
Which I had for a short period of time. So this is technically my second one. I wouldn't really call the first one because I never got it running.
Yeah.
It kind of just sat in the garage, but technically this is my second one.
Okay. Where can we go out and see this car in action in 2025?
So I do plan on attending the shootout, of course. It is one of my favorite events. I've been going for the past 3 years now. So I'll definitely be there. Besides that, I like to go to my local track a lot. It's called Empire Dragway. It's in Western New York. I don't think I'm quite ready to go to any big events. Especially with, like I said, I'm still learning the car. Plus, it takes a lot of strain on the car. So I tell myself every pass I take the life away from the engine.
Yeah.
So every season, if the engine lasts, I try to get it refreshed just to make sure everything's good. But making the power it makes, everything kind of has its time.
All right. So where can people find and follow you on social media so they can catch a glimpse of this Peasant Evo?
Well, I am on Facebook, of course. You can find me on Facebook, Kidanny Reyes. I do check all of my friend requests. I definitely do not add the bots. You can also find me on Instagram, _1SlowEvo. I am starting to use Instagram a little bit more. But those are the two main social media accounts I do use.
Okay. Yeah, definitely gotta check it out, and make sure you follow Kidanny for that 8-second pass off the trailer.
Oh, it'll definitely be out there, that's for sure.
Well, Kidanny, at the end, I always give people a chance to give a thanks or a shout out to anybody who's helped them get where they are, get their car where it is. Is there anybody that you want to give a thanks or a shout out to?
Yeah, I do have a few people. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my girlfriend, Sarah. She has always been by my side. I can assure you it's definitely not easy being with me. I make a lot of expensive and irrational decisions, but she's still here by my side supporting me, so I'm very grateful for her. I'd like to shout out my mom, who is very supportive as well. She tries to attend as many track events as she can, so that's kind of nice. Her and my sisters as well. I can't forget John. John's definitely one of my best friends, and we do a lot together. Definitely wouldn't be where I am without him. My friend Ozan, he's definitely another good friend of mine. He helps me when I need it. Can't forget Rafe, best tuner out there. I've messaged this man at 8-9 o'clock on a weekend, and he's answered lickety split. So that's definitely something he doesn't have to do, but he does, and I appreciate that. And of course, you can't forget Morse and Fab. They make phenomenal hot parts kits. They are great over there. I actually just received a personal holiday card from them, handwritten. Nice. You definitely can't get that anywhere. Of course, Dan from Evil Spec, I have a bunch of his titanium parts. Makes phenomenal parts over there as well. And then lastly, everyone who supports me. You know, I wouldn't be able to do it without the people that support me, all the fans and all my friends, and you know, all the people.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. You got a big group around you.
I do, and it's definitely it's a great group. They definitely keep me motivated. They definitely keep me going.
Good deal. Well, also at the end, for anybody who has a MitsuTimes card, if you type in podcast 141 and the discount code when you're buying a 10-pack of trading cards, you'll be guaranteed to get a Kidanny card with the Peasant Evo on it. So
I will definitely be in there.
Hell yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and talking about the Peasant Evo. I can't wait to see you back in action, and I'm waiting for that slip update.
You and me both. Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Talk to you later.
We'll see you. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to the MitsuTimes podcast. Check out our Instagram and Facebook for daily updates. Get added to our list by going to MitsuTimes.org and clicking Submit a Slip. Thank you to all of our sponsors.